Imagine waking up one morning, turning on the news, and hearing that one of the most well-known geographic landmarks in the Western Hemisphere, the Gulf of Mexico, is no longer called that. That the name you've known your whole life, the one printed in atlases, taught in schools, and etched into weather forecasts, is being replaced. And not just casually, but officially. From now on, in your state, that vast body of water that hugs the southern coasts of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida is to be known as the Gulf of America. Yes, you heard that right. In a growing number of southern states, lawmakers are making a coordinated push to formalize this name change. Gulf of America, a label that started as a political nickname, is being written into law. They're not just suggesting it, they're mandating it. Road signs, government websites, school textbooks, tourism pamphlets. Anything that references that stretch of ocean will need to carry the new name. What started as a slogan coined by former President Donald Trump is now turning into legislative action. For many of his supporters, calling it the Gulf of America was about more than just words. It was about making a statement, asserting American pride, rejecting outside influence, and rebranding a region that's long been defined by its historical connection to other nations. But what began as a symbolic gesture is now crossing into legal territory. Florida has already passed a set of laws requiring the name Gulf of America to be used in school curriculum and in official state documentation. Louisiana was next. There, the governor signed an executive order instructing all state departments to use the new term moving forward. Then came Alabama. Just this week, the state's House of Representatives voted to require all state and local agencies, from school boards to city offices to public tourism programs, to adopt the name Gulf of America in all future printed and digital materials. The bill has passed the House and is now awaiting a decision in the state Senate. So, what began as a rhetorical flourish on a political stage is now becoming a codified part of Southern state policy, changing how children will be taught, how maps will be printed, and how official language will shape regional identity. So what's the reasoning behind this sudden push to rename the Gulf of Mexico? Well, if you ask the supporters of the change, they'll tell you it's about pride. Not just the flag-waving kind, but a deeper, more symbolic assertion of national identity. To them, calling it the Gulf of America is a way to reclaim language, to put America front and center, even in geography. They say it's a matter of aligning our culture with our values, reinforcing who we are and what we stand for. Some say it's about pushing back against decades of what they see as a globalist narrative that emphasizes international cooperation over national distinction. In their view, using a name that honors a foreign country, even in a geographic context, somehow dilutes American sovereignty and pride. For them, this isn't just a petty name change. It's a small but meaningful way to plant a flag and say, this is ours. They also argue that it simplifies things, that having America in the name helps unify national branding, creates consistency with executive language coming out of Washington, and clears up confusion. Although, it's not entirely clear what confusion they're referring to, considering the Gulf of Mexico has been universally understood for generations. On the other side of the debate, critics are sounding the alarm, and not quietly. To them, this entire effort is pure political theater. A symbolic gesture dressed up as policy. A way to fire up a base, stir controversy, and score headlines, all while doing absolutely nothing to solve real problems. They say it's a distraction from real legislative priorities, and a waste of time, money, and energy. Let's not forget, the name Gulf of Mexico isn't some new creation. It dates back centuries. It's in world atlases, in scientific literature, in international treaties. It's printed in millions of textbooks, stitched into classroom posters, and spoken aloud in classrooms from kindergarten to college. And now, with this name change, critics say taxpayers might end up footing the bill for what? For reprinting school materials, updating government websites, replacing highway signs, all to reflect a term that might not even survive a shift in political leadership. One critic framed it perfectly: Are we really going to rename it every 4 years depending on who sits in the Oval Office? That question hit a nerve. One lawmaker did bring it up, asking, point blank, if we're going to reverse the change if a future president rejects the name Gulf of America. And the answer, delivered confidently, was essentially, why would we go back to Mexico? Now, regardless of how you interpret that answer, it's clear this debate runs deeper than maps and naming conventions. It's touching a nerve that reaches into identity, history, and national storytelling. But step back for a moment and ask yourself, should sitting presidents have the power to rename long-established geographic landmarks? Should states be rewriting educational materials just to match the preferred branding of a single political figure? And even more importantly, are we okay with public funds being used to carry out these changes, especially when so many communities are still waiting on meaningful investments in things like infrastructure, education, and healthcare? Because this isn't just a story about geography. It's about symbolism, about how words shape narratives, and how narratives shape reality. It's about the growing trend of politicizing everything, even the names of oceans and bays. It raises the question, where's the line between patriotism and pageantry? Between national pride and performative politics? So now I turn the question to you. Do you support renaming it the Gulf of America? Does it strike you as a long overdue patriotic correction, or just another front in the ever-expanding culture war? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if you enjoy this kind of breakdown, cutting through the noise, analyzing the headlines, hit that like button and consider subscribing. There's plenty more to unpack in the days ahead.